We expect 40% chance of thunderstorm with rain over Koforidua, Achimda. And then we expect some areas around Obuasi, Takwa, Soshibekwa, Ketekrachi, Kintampo, and then its environs. For the state of the sea today, we expect it to be rough, but no massive rain cloud is over the sea. So fisher folks can go for fishing, but they have to be careful. The water lake this morning too is also pretty cool for any fishing activities. Late afternoon into the evening hours, those of us around the OT region and part of the eastern side of the water lake, we need to be a bit careful. And then between 3 and 6, they can retreat home, and then thereafter they can go back to continue their fishing activities. So this is how you're expecting today to be like.
Felicity, did I hear you say that temperatures could potentially rise to 37 degrees Celsius up north?
Yes, over the northern sector, temperatures will be around 37.
That's very hot indeed. They're going to need to stay hydrated, I'm sure, and stay away from direct sunlight.
Yes, they have to avoid around between 11 and 3 p.m. That's usually the peak of the sun over us. And nowadays, too, the sun rays is much closer to us because it has crossed into the northern hemisphere. So it's becoming hotter and hotter. So from now till May, we have a battle to face in terms of the heat.
I see. So it's not a coincidence that people are feeling warmer or hotter than usual. It's the state of affairs. It is actually hotter and warmer.
Yes, it's not a coincidence. It's something that happens every year. So it has crossed. That was 21st of this month.
Right.
So hopefully we'll start feeling very, very uncomfortable, especially the night hours too. So we need to be a bit prepared. Let's dust our mosquito nets, make proper ventilations and other things so that when it happens, we'll be free.
Sure. All right, Felicity, thank you so much for that.
Thank you. To enjoy the day.
You too. And that was a chief forecaster with the Ghana Met, Felicity Ahafianyo. She says things are about to get very hot and very uncomfortable. So open up all the windows in your home. But again, this is 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. As I mentioned, very shortly we'll have a flick through what the dailies have in store for us this morning. But for my early risers, do check out 3news.com. We have the latest in entertainment, business, sports, you name it.
Today with Sunrise on 92.7 3FM.
Now remember, you can also connect with us on our socials. We are at 3FM 92.7. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and also on Twitter.
I'll sing you a song. My people.
3FM Sunrise
Is calling. We gotta get a little more loving.
Few stories here on 3news.com. This one concerning the Chinese Minister of Finance.
Get up, 'cause it's good morning.
His name is Liu Kun, and he says that his country has confidence in Ghana's economic management and its long-term economic viability. Now, this was after Ghana's Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta highlighted the factors that have negatively impacted Ghana's economy. Now, Mr. Ofori-Atta also mentioned that the domestic debt exchange program that has been introduced by the government as an indication that Ghana was ready to take the necessary action to readjust its fiscal path. What China has been speaking concerning economic woes. They're asking the IMF, World Bank to rally behind us. They say if they want to help us, they need to put their money where their mouths are.
I sing you a song. Got a good morning. Rasta sacred road.
3FM Sunrise.
Mr. William Esiedu of Current Memory is here. Good morning to you,
Good
William.
morning.
You came in with all the vim as usual because the conversation has been very interesting, hasn't it? The last 24 hours, people are looking at all kinds of color: primary color, block color, rainbow color, black and white, flag color.
Well, for me, those are not the issues. I mean, I can't come and spend my money talking about colors. Too many serious things to talk about this morning, Charlie.
I agree with that.
Good morning.
3FM Sunrise.
Well, on that note, let's get straight into it then. Myself and William, we have a number of papers in front of us. We'll whiz through the front pages and then we will take some details. Of course, you see Kamala Harris splashed across the different front pages. The Daybreak has this to say: $100 million for terrorism operation on coastal Africa. So this is the extremism that Kamala Harris was referring to, or the potential extremism that Kamala Harris was referring to. And I think for most of us, we've been told or aware that some threat exists. Security analysts will tell you that threats have been imminent for a while because of also what we're seeing in the West African region, in the Sahel as well. So a boost for us is good, but there's nothing like a free lunch, as some of you have been alluding to. I digress. We'll talk about that as the show progresses. Also, Nana denies knowledge of Al Qaeda in Ghana. We'll also play excerpts of that joint press conference between press conference, I beg your pardon, with President Akufo-Addo and also Vice President Kamala Harris. NPA chief calls on Chief Imam. We'll find out for what reason. The Anchor newspaper says this: limping NDC on manhunt for traitor MPs. And the reactions that have followed last Friday's decision to approve the 6 ministerial nominees, the fallout still continues. Now you have a number of reactions. In fact, William, some members of the NDC party have taken to their WhatsApp status to congratulate those that no, they say they are aware voted no. So now individual thank yous. I don't know when the individual lambasting will also follow. Split reactions as to whether or not this is really the path to go on. Should they name and shame?
I'm wondering how they were able to know immediately who voted how, and then, I mean, it was a secret vote. So how does that become secret after all? I mean, how secret was the vote for them to be mentioning names and be pointing figures? I understand from the submissions we had yesterday that about 90-something plus of them voted concretely for, I mean, for the party's decision, which is against the nominations, and about 20 or so, 30 voted against. So they haven't done the investigations yet. More people are pointing figures. So how transparent? I even understand that some of them took photos of their votes
and videos
just to show to their leadership that, look, we said we did what you said, and so we are clean and we are with the party. I don't know. It means even before they went to the party, the votes, they were not sure that all of them were going to be on the side of the NDC, and that's why those who felt so decided to present some evidence, to cement their credibility. Because some of them said we did that just to tell all of you that we are for you, we are for the party, and so on and so forth. But going forward, I'm just hoping that they will do the investigations, and if they are able to find anything, and what they will do with the results of the investigation.
Right, we'll talk more about that as we progress. Hundreds to miss 2023 Hajj in Ghana over killer fare. The prices are quite steep this time round, and so hundreds will not be able to make it. Also, Thai companies Jospon sign MOU for rice project, and this has been progressing, and the dailies have been carrying this story for a while now. It seems some progress is being made. That is good news. The Finder newspaper: creditors agree to form a committee on Ghana. Kenneth Foriata speaking there. Soldier slaps policeman, provoking a violent scuffle. It's captured on page 2. We'll get into it as the review goes on. U.S. to engage Ghana's creditors to push for debt reduction. Also, we'll be speaking with a political analyst to dissect some of the implications of what's currently happening. We've heard mumblings of reasons why the U.S. is is looking to strengthen, as they say, their relationship with us. Is this because of Russia-China factor? Is this something else? Or as Kamala Harris says, it's not about what's happening with Russia or China. They just want to cement that relationship with us. Struggling banks to submit recapitalization plans. And that's it for the Finder newspaper.
The Ghanaian Times this morning, it's saying that it's the most authoritative newspaper in Ghana. Front page lead story, U.S. pledges $100 million package for Ghana for others towards addressing violent extremism instability in West Africa. And you can see a photo of the president and the vice president of the United States of America, Kamala Harris, in a very beautiful handshake. Highly rated Macallan host exclusive experience in Accra. We'll get to know what that experience is about when we get into the details. On page 12 of the Times, which is represented on the front page, Ghana to collaborate with the U.S. to find peaceful solution to conflicts worldwide. That's according to the President of the Republic, Nana Akufo-Addo. 6 in a Shaman Soldier murder case remanded in custody again. And on the back page of the Ghanaian Times, which is sports, Ghana fights back to deny Angola. Yesterday, the boys did us proud. I was expecting 2-1. We ended up 1-1. I will take it like that.
We'll have to.
And on the front page of the ABC, which says it's on the side of truth, debt restructuring program, China pledges support, and NADMO cautions public against floods ahead of rainy season. Editorial, democracy is not all about getting one's way at all times. Support Ghana's efforts to restore debt sustainability. IMF to bilateral creditors. I don't know what the IMF is doing to sort us out, as they are asking others to help us. And there's a question inside the pages, and that's a feature asking, did the minority MPs disappoint Ghanaians? We will find out from our listeners later in the show.
Absolutely. We'll open up the phone lines during the Voice of the People segment, and you too can weigh in on the issues. I'm expecting a few of you, you know yourselves, to give us a ring and share your thoughts. Yesterday we weren't able to take calls. Apologies. Today we'll have our time to discuss the issues. Let's get into the details. The Finder newspaper on page 2 carries this story. Soldier slaps policeman provoking violent scuffle. We've seen, soldier versus civilian, police versus civilian. This one is soldier versus policeman. A violent scuffle ensued between police and military personnel near the Accra Regional Police Command yesterday, creating fear and panic amongst the public. An eyewitness told the Finder that the scuffle was provoked by members of a military patrol team escorting a bullion van. That in of itself is questionable. The military, they were escorting a bullion van, strike one, who slapped a police personnel not in uniform for not giving them way. The eyewitness, who spoke on condition of anonymity, explained that upon the bullion van reaching the Ghana Cocoa Board area, soldiers in the patrol vehicle screamed at a motor rider to get out of their way. The eyewitness said the motor rider responded that he's a police officer, and this response infuriated the military personnel. The eyewitness told the paper that one soldier alighted from their vehicle, slapped the policeman who was not in uniform. The police officer quickly raised alarm, and his colleagues at the Accra Regional Command premises rushed to his rescue, after which a scuffle ensued. Now, the time of going to press, details were still emerging, but the Finder could not get the names of the police personnel who was slapped by the military personnel.
So just last week or so, I said on this show that the call by the defense minister that people should respect the uniform was not a good call, because we should just respect human rights, basic. Because this is a police officer who was not in uniform, so he's been assaulted by a soldier who is in uniform. So if you are using the uniform as a mark, we are going to lose it. I'm sure if the gentleman who was on the motorbike had been seen in a police uniform, there would have been a better communication between the two. But why should one be in a certain uniform before he's getting the respect? He gets the respect or the protection of the security forces in this country.
Agreed.
I think it was a very unfortunate incident, and this is not the first time the police and the soldiers are getting into scuffles over very trivial issues. Sometimes they go on operations and they clash and they fight. At the end of the day, every citizen in this country is not above the law. Whether you are in mufti or you are in the security attire or whatever you may call it, it is not a right to touch anybody. Assault is a crime in this country. So if the gentleman who is on the motorbike thinks that he was unduly attacked without any provocation or without any just cause, he should go to court. I mean, I sit on this show and I always promote this idea that we should go to court, because our courts are not being used enough to cement the democracy that we are all trying to enjoy. It is not for, in quotes, big cases that should go to court or criminal cases that should go to court. In this country, if somebody does anything to you and it's not criminal, it's not physical, it's not robbery, we tend to take away the court's, factor. But I'm thinking that, look, there are a lot of human rights issues, there are a lot of thought issues, there are a lot of contract issues that we should be visiting the courts to get clarity. So people will understand that laws, guide behavior. And this is what we should all pursue.
I agree with that. And William, I like that you started the conversation off by saying that as citizens of the land, we are all subject to the laws. Exactly. Nobody is above the law. So this idea that because somebody is in military uniform, they can, kick you out of the way or slap you is wrong. And it's something that we all need to be aware of. Interestingly, in the US, they are accused of having what they call a compensation culture. Every day, I'll take you to court, I'll take you to court. For us, it's the opposite. Like you say, we don't test our courts and our court systems enough. Sticking with page 2, Ministry of Employment cautions public against recruitment scam. Now, the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations has cautioned the public against ongoing recruitment scams where an email purportedly emanating from the ministry is notifying the public of an interview. Now, the purported interview is being held at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, which started March 7 and is ongoing. So they say if you receive any email that says some interviews have been ongoing since March 7, go to the ministry and go and queue and go for your interview. It is fake. Also, they mentioned some text messages that have gone out to the public, and attached to that is a request for 300 Ghana cedis. Ignore. And
this is quite scary, because just yesterday I was reading that about 10.3 or thereabout $1 trillion are lost to cybercrime across the world. 10.3 there
trillion. That's a lot of money.
Yes.
Goodness me.
And so over a period, if we are using the digital space to enhance our functioning as human beings in whatever space we find ourselves, and people are also punching holes and trying to scam others. It's a very unfortunate situation, because if you go on the international scene, Ghana doesn't look good at all. Nigeria also doesn't look good at all. When you talk about these scams in terms of marriage scams,
romance scams and others,
scams, gold scams, and some of these official scams in terms of getting jobs, Ghana comes up strongly. And I'm happy that the Yoko, led by COP Tiwa Adudankwa, was on a beat and trying to check it. But you hear some of these things and you wonder why even people within the bank
fall for these scams.
They perpetrate these things.
Right.
They use their knowledge in the digital space to steal money, because we've had cases of bankers getting caught using some of these technologies to steal people's money. Somebody will be hiding in his room and be taking one peso from every account. Every account. If you put one peso together and the bank has about 100,000 customers, you can imagine how much the person is making. So we should also preach to the youth that getting rich quick is not the way to go.
That's right.
Because success is not a one-day affair. As we said here on the show yesterday, success is failure upon failure with the enthusiasm to keep the focus. So at the end of the day, when you hit the focus, you can look at the failure that you went through, and against the success, the focus, the objective that you have achieved, then you are happy. But if your objective is to steal, and you don't want to suffer to gain. If you steal, you wouldn't even be happy, because all the time you'll be looking over your shoulders.
That's right.
So this scam thing is really disturbing, especially when it hits the economy so hard. Yeah.
And of course, it's also, like you say, byproduct of what is going on now. People are eager to get jobs, so they ignore all the red flags. Somebody's asking you to pay money for forms. You don't even feel right about it, but that desperation is driving you to do that.
And it's because our processes for getting official documents and official, if you like, whatever you are looking for in the official, is so slow. And sometimes people create those situations to get money from you.
That's right.
The file is in front of the gentleman. He tells you he can't find it. You go and come 2 days. So you are forced to pay somebody else to go and get it for you. So I think the system, President Kufuor, when he came, introduce a special minister for, I think it was Mr. Dr. Pakwesindu for some of these. I've forgotten the name of the ministry, but it was to check some of these things. You know, you get to the ministry and the way they work, because you are talking about the ministry.
That's right.
If people know that if you go to a ministry, you can't do this, nobody will take advantage of anybody. But they know that that's how the ministries operate.
Actually, that's a good point. They know that you probably have to give some nuclear here
and that's why when they hear, they will believe.
Right.
Because you can't tell me, even in this country, we've had police officers interdicted or sacked for these form issues. Because you're going to the police service, why would anybody be selling police forms from the boot of his car? And you're talking about the military enlistment, and people are getting forms away from the defense ministry. So it's a culture that people are just, living off, and it's a very negative culture. If in the internet too is also connected to it, then we are in trouble.
I agree with you. I have a friend who decided that he was only going to acquire his Ghana card if he did it the right way. So he said he wasn't going to, just to see how long it would take him. He said he's going to go queue up as if, as per how the process should go. He's not going to pay anybody. Till now, he doesn't have a Ghana card.
You wouldn't get a Ghana card.
He said he's not going to concede. He's going to try and go. Until now, frustrations, long queues, even those that are having to pay, they have their own separate queues because everybody now has to do premium service. He says he wanted to test out the system and he was not successful.
And the culture of the public officials, how the customer service is, it's also a big put off, because if you get to the ministries and the kind of reception that you get, you have work to do. You go to a ministry and you don't get anybody to tell you anything that will put your heart at rest. So people don't have the time and space to just waste. So they go there and they are ready to pay. And that's how up to now, if you go to the DVLA, they have not been able to kick out those Guru boys, because it's become part of the culture.
That's right.
You're looking for passport Guru boys. You're looking for license Guru boys. You're looking for everything. Visa.
Guru boys.
Because the official channels are not working.
In fact, even before you've even gone to see what's happening there, you find out, do you know anybody?
Yes.
Because you already know what to expect.
You can't walk into a ministry and go and get something done. Before you get there,
you've laid your foundation.
You should know somebody so that you are going to see the person and not the secretary to take you through the system. And that's bad.
It's awful. Limping NDC on manhunt for traitor MPs. The story is in the Anchor newspaper, captured on page 3. But let me say good morning to Mr. Fineboy. Godwin Asidiba.
Hello.
Are you surprised nobody refers to you as Fineboy?
Having some compliments from Helen.
It's made your morning.
Yeah.
He says he's blushing. Let's get into the details. Now, just as hinted, the leadership of the opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, is said to be at the tail end. So, William, I think they've done their investigations, so they're at the tail end of fishing out the supposed traitors within the minority caucus who defied the party's directive and voted massively for the approval of all the ministerial nominees of President Akufo-Addo. Now, the Anchor is reliably informed that as at yesterday, Monday, March 27, the party had gotten virtually the full identity of its MPs who broke ranks to approve the 6 ministerial nominees, as well as 2 Supreme Court judges. Something that struck me yesterday when we had a member of the NDC's comms team, lawyer Eduji Tamaklo, he says that, they still have other bills to vote on, other matters, other business in the House of Parliament. They need them. So if you name and shame, he says, after that, what then? You create even more problems. I'm surprised by this tangent that the NDC is going on. Godwin, are you surprised that they're on this witch hunt or manhunt? He says he's not surprised. William, are you surprised? I think it's
just for the optics, because at the end of the day, what action can they take against these MPs? And yesterday we spoke on this matter and we were raising issues about people who have been cited for bribery. In previous cases.
That's right.
In the Ghana Telecom case, the Jaku case, and so on and so forth. Names were mentioned, figures were mentioned in terms of monies that had changed hands. Nothing happened. And he, the lawyer who was with us, he also, confirmed, saying that look, some of these are just done for the rank and file to think that the party is still on its feet. And that's why I was insisting yesterday. The party was not in disarray.
Do you still feel the same way this morning?
It is not, because I have said that this is just part of politicking. It happens. If lobbying takes all kinds of faces. People give.
I felt the same way, William, yesterday when you said that. But this morning, having checked out some of the reactions, I think disarray is a strong word, but I feel like there is some imbalance at the moment that I think has to be checked promptly.
The party has been jolted. No doubt about that.
Yes.
There's been some ramps and bumps in the operations of the minority caucus in parliament. But I'm saying that it is not the party in disarray, because in the run-up to any election, I even gave an example of a campaign manager of a candidate, the leading candidate, who crossed carpet in the 11th hour. How bad can that be? But the candidate won the election. So this is not a thing that I think is going to affect the NDC in any way. I don't think so.
All right. We're watching this space quite keenly. And last one here in the Anchor newspaper, I'll hand over to the gentleman shortly. Hundreds to miss 2023 Hajj in Ghana over killer fare. Have you checked the price of plane tickets recently? It is something else. Well, hundreds of prospective Ghanaian pilgrims who wish to embark on this year's holy journey might miss the travel because many are still struggling to raise the money. According to this paper's information, the demand from the Muslim community to take part in this year's pilgrimage has been slow since the fee for transportation was announced by the Ghana Hajj Board. Indeed, prospective pilgrims who initially began payments by installments to embark on the journey are reportedly going back for their money. So some actually started the payment plan, and they said at this rate they'll just have to concede. The Susu is not working. They said they can't afford the $6,500 that it's going to cost them to embark on the pilgrimage. That works out at about some 75,000 Ghana cedis. So this year, many hundreds will have to pull out from this excursion.
The Hajj has always been a sacrificial, if you like, project, because you would have to sacrifice your time, you have to sacrifice your money and other resources to go and come and get a tag alaji, get closer to your, God, Allah, and so on and so forth. But if that's going to cost you so much in an economy that is so biting, I think they have to have communion with Allah and decide to go another day.
That's it.
I don't think anybody can force them to go to Mecca.
No, and unless you are providing the funds, it's impossible for them to get there.
There's no way any state is going to fund anything. So
no. And we're told that there's going to be a review, in fact, after March, so that price could, in fact, go up.
Yeah, maybe the world economy may get better and the transport fares, the airfares may come down. But for now, $6,500, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot.
The dollar is sitting around 11 and 12. And so you are running around about 70-something thousand cedis or plus.
That's right.
Feeding and lodging.
That hasn't even...
And even health insurance, because when you are going, you have to pick some insurance and so on and so forth. I don't think many Ghanaians will have that kind of money.
And as we're told, that is the case.
That's
many
about
Ghanaians
100 billion old cedis for you to go and come.
Goodness me.
No, 1 billion.
1 billion.
100,000, yes. Because if ticket alone is costing you about 70,000, you need to buy. Some of them go with food. Insurance, pocket money, and so on and so forth. About the billions, it is too much money.
Gordon, what do you have for us?
So what I have is Daybreak, the Daybreak, and it says that 100 million for terrorism operation on coastal West Africa, and that is coming from Kamala when she engaged the media in her meeting with President Akufo-Addo at the Jubilee House. So the United States government says it is providing $100 million to 5 West African countries to help combat possible extreme terrorism. The countries include Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Benin, Guinea, and Togo. This is in line with the U.S. initiative to boost its eliminate violence and propel stability in areas vulnerable to conflict. This was announced by U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris during her visit to the Jubilee House in Accra. She was hosted by President Akufo-Addo, where they both held pertinent discussions on mutual interests. And one of the things she mentioned was, today I am pleased to announce the $100 million in support of Benin, Ghana, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, and Togo. She said,
So $100 million being added to our budget, hopefully to help strengthen our security operations because of the threats that we know exist in the West African region. Morocco restricts tomato exports over high domestic prices. That's what's happening in the African nation of Morocco. What are we doing in our part of the world? We're still importing a lot of tomatoes from neighboring countries and also some other continents. What happens if these countries also decide tomorrow, like Morocco is doing, to restrict their tomato export? What then do we do to support our domestic need?
Yeah, so it's high time African governments concentrate on food production, because if you look at the US, if you visit the US, they have huge maize farms, they have huge millet farms, they have huge, cereals. They concentrate on food production, and we concentrate on raw material like timber, cocoa, and then we are having to export those and get peanuts to then go and buy food from them. Because we are having to import maize to feed our poultry industry, tomatoes to feed domestic and industrial use, if you like, the restaurants and the hotels and so on and so forth. So we should concentrate on, we have the good, we have a very good weather to produce tomatoes in this country. It's just policy. Just this week, yesterday, we were talking about agri inputs not being in good supply for farmers.
That's right.
We're having to import seeds and so on and so forth. The planting for food and jobs is not working for the farmers because they say the input element is only concentrated on fertilizer. And so if we are going to stop importing, it must be a holistic approach to the whole farming project. You don't just give us fertilizer and talk about giving us money and forget about the main thing that we need in terms of seeds. Why would a country stop the exports of a certain vegetable? Because they need it.
They need it.
Recently in the UK, their shelves, they didn't have vegetables. Some shops were rationing vegetables. You couldn't get tomatoes easily because where they import from, they were not getting. And it is one of the reasons why we are also always going to the IMF. Because we are importing food and it's costing us so much. If you keep the dollars here, we will not go to IMF because all our fundamentals in terms of the macroeconomic environment will be okay. So we should concentrate on food production and not always go. People have even started smuggling cocoa. Just last week, we read about some arrests where people were smuggling cocoa beans to other neighboring countries. And it's not anything that we should be excited about.
Agreed. Well, Kamala Harris is going to be in Cape Coast, and so arrangements are being made to divert traffic in the area. Tuesday, 28th March 2023, that's today. Traffic arrangements within Accra and Cape Coast. So in Accra, between the hours of 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be intermittent roadblocks from the National Theatre through the Ministry's traffic intersection up to the Castle traffic light at the Black Star Square. Now in Cape Coast, where she'll also be today, between midday to 6 p.m., there will be intermittent roadblocks from the Robert Mensah Sports Stadium through to the Bakano Road and the road to Oman Hinnis Palace, and from the Oman Hinnis Palace to the Beach Road up to the Cape Coast Castle. So do note, of course, that there could be some diversions today as well. Yesterday, how did you find the commute? Any major setbacks, delays in your commute to or from work?
They were dotted around this side of town. Immediately before and after the press conference, traffic was quite tight. But I think after that, it was a bit easy. But this is to be expected. She's going to Cape Coast today. And Cape Coast also, brings up the issue of how we've handled our tourism industry.
Yes.
Because Bahamas is making as much as 50% of all its GDP from just tourism. And now they're also going into other IT and other things to make sure that they adapt to tourism. We haven't been so successful in making, although tourism is, I think, the fourth income earner, I think we should have more, because just the idea that we have the diaspora, the blacks in the diaspora coming back home to go through the slavery trail, it's a big market.
Very big market.
Blacks everywhere would want to know how they got outside of Africa. And if you want to know that kind of story, there's no way you get that without coming to Ghana. And that's why I'm excited that the Vice President of the United States is here and she's going to go there. And I'm just hoping that it will serve as an eye-opener for the rest of the blacks in the diaspora to come home, support our tourism industry. And when the money comes, we should use them properly. Because tourism facilities around the world, are getting better, but ours are getting worse.
We are regressing. You say Bahamas makes 50% of their GDP from tourism. And I'm sure this is by way of intentionality, because whenever some people say, I wish I could take a holiday in the Bahamas, you know what, it seems like I say it all the time, and I have never been to Bahamas. I don't even know how it's ingrained in me that we all say it's for tourism.
And now they're thinking about banking and IT, they are add because people are coming there. So they are going to add banking and IT to the tourism so that their economy is boosted. But what have we done with our tourism? I mean, this government must be congratulated on that. That one, no doubt about it.
Year of the return.
Beyond the return. I mean, if you go to the Dubois Center, they have a secretariat for all those diasporans who want to come back home. And I'm saying, anytime they come home, the dollars come. So that we wouldn't have to just export raw materials before we get the dollars. So we should just, it's easy, hanging fruits.
Yes.
Hanging fruits.
And look at how things, even marginally improve during the festive season.
Yes,
we get money in. How about we prolong that past that Christmas time?
We can't have tourism just in December.
Exactly.
It must be all round.
When Easter is coming.
Because the weather is good. I mean, our weather is good all round. All round, we have sunshine, a little rain here and there. It's not like a place where we have cold all the time where people cannot walk around. I mean, so we should invest in tourism and especially the facilities around. I mean, all roads leading to tourist sites should be improved. Customer service, people should have training. You go to restaurants, you go to tourist sites, and the way the individuals they react to customers, sometimes it's not
bad.
They don't have any training.
And actually, funny you should mention that a few American celebrities who were in town last Christmas actually made mention of that. I don't know if you're aware of a radio personality. His name is Charlemagne the God, and he said the service, and he has a big platform, and he said it on his radio show or podcast. He said, the service was just a bit slow. He said he had an enjoyable time, but when it came to the customer service, it wasn't working.
It's missing.
Exactly.
I went to the Labadi Beach Hotel last 2 weeks.
And I
was asking the lady why their chairs were so rickety, tattered. I mean, the cushion in them. So you're painting home December. We are in March. So you know the weather. I mean, you know the breeze. If you painted in December and it's March and it's getting, touch it up.
Yeah.
You have to invest.
Yes.
You have to get the right materials. We have beach chairs or beach furniture. You don't just go and take anything and come and put it at the beach. You go to some beaches and you reach there and it's so clean.
So you don't want to leave. You spend your whole day there. You spend your money there.
The whole shore was littered with plastics and the chairs were not looking good. But there are a lot of businesses along the beach now when you go to Labadi Beach.
Yeah.
So there should be a policy. These are the kind of furniture you can bring there. You should be intentional about it.
Yeah.
So that when I come, and I was there, some whites were coming, I was embarrassed. Because we've been to beaches in South Africa, in other places, and you see the kind of furniture that they set up along the beach. The umbrellas are all neat. See some umbrellas started and torn and will be there. Some of them are doing well, but if you stand there and look at the bigger picture, the optics are not exciting. I mean, tourism should be something that will bring you some relief, to calm you down. You see something nice. But you get there's later along the beach, the furniture is not looking good. Customer service.
It means we're not serious about making money from tourism, because if the environment that you are wanting tourists to come and enjoy is not even clean, who is going to stay there and spend their money for you to
need repeat visitors
to make money?
But generally, I think it hasn't been bad.
Not at all.
Yeah, because the likes of Steve Harvey has mentioned that if he wants to be in Africa again, Ghana will be his first choice. Yeah, so
really, to be honest, for when it comes to tourism or for Ghana, I'd say our best exports are the people. It's that friendly, warm nature that people love, and even that seemingly is being we are stressed out. So I don't even know whether we are still as warm and as friendly as
tourism. We shouldn't be speaking good. We should be speaking better, best.
Yeah.
Because good is not enough, because the competition is tight. Senegal is there, Togo, everywhere. Everybody is promoting. So you can't be talking good.
Yeah.
Better, best all the time.
Striving for excellence.
Yes. So this morning, I want to say good morning to Dr. Awal and his deputy, Okreku Manti. We need to hear more of what you are doing in the space, because Okreku Manti, you were an industry player. Mr. Awal is a communications man. He's been with the
Ajiman as well.
Ajiman, my boss, the branding guy. So the three of them together, we expect something bigger.
But I mean, Bulldog was speaking somewhere, I think around UTV, saying that Okreku Mante has changed and is not, paying attention to them anytime they call on him. And it's actually true. There are times that we journalists work on stories and we try to get to the ministry to speak, and I've not even heard them speak on anything.
Is it because is it a lack of desire to speak, to share what they are doing, or just disinterest in the...
We come and we say we want industry people in the space.
Right.
And sometimes when we get the industry people in the space, there are issues. First, it was Honorable Jifar Gomashi. She wasn't the substantive minister. Then we have Mark.
But I think she was really open to the media.
Then we have Mark Okrikumanti, who is also not the substantive minister. But you are there, so let's at least hear you. Because when there's something going on and we are not hearing from you, we assume that there's nothing going on.
Exactly.
And that's all it is.
It's like
and a lot could be going on, and we want to be privy to that, so we can be a part of the whole thing. Well, we have Spike Lee in town at the moment.
Yes.
Shirley Lee Ralph in town. We're told Spotify is wanting to collaborate with Ghanaian artists. Some exciting things are happening in this space.
But quite frankly, all those would have to come from a tourism authority. There's a tourism authority, there's a culture commission, and there's the arts, creative arts is a council. So if you look at the three sectors, the three areas of the ministry, we have the tourism, arts, and culture. The tourism is led, the operational side of the tourism is led by the Ghana Tourism Authority.
Right.
And then if you come to culture, the operational side of culture, where how we market our cultural products, is by the Commission on Culture. Then when it comes to creative arts, singing, dancing, modeling, all those is there. We have a creative arts council led by the president's daughter. So the ministry sits at the top, but we are saying that they should push these agencies to work so that we also hear and see what.
And a streamlined approach would also be good, so that the information is not disjointed. Exactly. We know that as a country, and I think when they started off with their year of return, you had an official calendar. They had, I think now they do it every year, where you have an official itinerary. I think that was a brilliant idea, and you can even make money doing that. If you want to be part of the official itinerary, you pay a fee. You are on there, and people know that okay, this is legit. All roads lead to maybe the website, the tourism ministry's website. All the information you need is on there. Creative ways to make money. But time check, it is some 5 minutes to the top of the hour, 7 a.m. I do apologize for the lack of Johnny's bites today. Yesterday as well, we weren't able to bring that to you. Johnny isn't feeling too good, so apologies for that. The business news at 7 will be coming up, of course, in 5 minutes.
Johnny's bite.
You want to bite today? Godwin, what is on your heart this morning? In fact, that's what we should do. We should take some prospective biters.
It's generally about Ghanaians and how they are quick to jump into conclusions. For instance, about the lightning at the...
okay. Well, Godwin, let me pause you here. It's now time for Godwin's Bites. Let's go.
I'm not ready for this, please.
Usrana. Minstru. Godwin, Minstru. Bites. You want to talk about, what is this?
The colors there was predicted the US and then Ghana.
Yes.
But it's kind of similar to the LGBTQ colors, but not the same. So, people started talking about it on Twitter. There was a man on UTV who was also bashing Akufo-Addo for, displaying such colors when the US vice president was visiting the Jubilee House. And a number of people, actually this time around on Twitter, it wasn't really negative because people got what the picture was all about.
They understood the lightning.
But you find other people also talking about the president, LGBT, even his response to Kamala on their stand with LGBTQ, saying that it's still in parliament, deliberations are still ongoing. People were not really satisfied with his comments, and Sam George also spoke yesterday on Ghana Tonight and even on News 360 saying that the president goofed, and then this was the opportunity for the president to know where Ghana stands when it comes to that exactly. But I think all of this was in a haste. People always want things to be done in certain ways, but Charlie, I think we should calm down.
I like this. It's the Charlie for me. The last time I checked, the colors of the rainbow are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. 7 colors. Are those the colors on the wall? Social media is making people consume information so fast without thinking about what they are consuming.
Exactly.
And now with the introduction of AI, they are in trouble because look,
big trouble.
They can even mimic you like a person live.
Yes.
Reading the news while you be sleeping in your house.
Yes. The acceleration of the AI in the AI space is crazy.
And the media is so spread thin that these days you don't even know what to call the media again. Because some media houses or media platforms that are so-called conventional media houses sometimes get caught up in this frenzy. So at the end of the day, what are we saying? Are we saying we've seen some colors So because there's a certain American in Ghana, and America is not against LGBT plus QQ, those colors are rainbow colors, and those colors are gay colors. Please, if you want to know what those gay colors are, you have to find out what colors they are. So
it's the gay colors for me.
Yes.
Growing up, I knew primary color. It was a primary color and the secondary color.
And so
that was the color wheel. Now we have gay color.
Exactly. So we are just saying this for the sake of education, so that we don't just poison the atmosphere and then run with it. It's not going to help anybody, because I mean, where people just hear things and they act on it and they're trending.
Personally, I think this is just creative and beautiful.
That is,
it's not bad.
Well, I mean, we're currently looking at a picture of that. But time check. It is a few seconds to 7 a.m. We're parking the news review here to make way for the business news. Do stick with us. More to come right here on 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7.
Yes.